If you didn't already know, bots have been better than humans in the game of chess for something like 25 or 30 years, ever since Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov back in the 1990s. And over the years, since that time, we've kind of just accepted that bots are better than humans. And to be honest with you, we've kind of welcomed bots to be our chess overlords, as some have said. And we know that bots are better than humans, but we always enjoy watching, and we know we'll never be as good as them. So it's always just amazing to watch bots play, and kind of, I don't know, yeah, just watch them play, I guess. So in this video, I have two games to show you between Stockfish and Leela, two of the strongest bots in the world. Their average rating is 3,700, and yeah, these games are crazy. Um, yeah, that's all I have to say. Let's get into the first game. So we got Leela playing with white, and Stockfish is playing with black. And yeah, their ratings actually are 3683 and 3652 as of 2025. So this first game, we have Leela playing with white, and Stockfish is playing with black. And we have the first move played by Leela is d4. And Stockfish responds with knight f6. We have c4 and e6, g3 and d5. Now we have bishop to g2 and pawn takes c4. This is, I believe this is, what is this one called? This is, what, I'm trying to remember what this variation is called. I feel like, is this, I was almost gonna say this is like the Nimzo Indian. I feel like, yeah, this is the Nimzo Indian. Normally, after like this, sorry, after like, okay, sorry. Anyway, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go through the game. So d4, knight f6 like this. Bishop e2 takes knight f3, and c5. Now we have castles and knight to c6. We have queen a5, queen a4. I guess attacking the knight there, and also attacking the pawn on c4. We have pawn takes d4, and now knight takes d4, queen takes, bishop takes c6 check. Already this game is getting kind of crazy. Bishop to d7, rook to d1, and queen takes. So, yeah, right off the bat here, we have a queen sack from, we have a rook taken by a queen, I can't speak, a queen for a rook for Leela right off the bat. Stockfish takes. Leela is playing with white, so Leela takes, Stockfish takes a bishop, and now we have queen c2, oh man, I can't speak, queen c2, sorry, bishop to e7, and now queen takes c4, and castles. Right now, right off the bat, Leela is, has a very comfortable advantage, as you can see there from the left-hand side. Knight to c3, and h6, so just making sure that, you know, Stockfish is already down a queen, basically. I mean, has a rook and a bishop for a queen, but a queen, I mean, if I was black, I would probably take the rook and the bishop for the queen, honestly, because you have the two rooks. I mean, yeah, you have two rooks and two bishops and a knight, so, you know, it's hard to play, though, unless you're a 3,800, 3,600 level bot. Bishop to e3, a6, and queen to b3, and b5. Rook c1, and rook f d8, f3, and rook a c8. So, as you see here from white's position, white is just kind of pushing the pawns in front of the king to make sure that the king has some nice breathing room. This is very instructive chess here being played by Leela, and Stockfish is playing down, you know, well, not really playing down, just playing down a queen, I guess. You know, has a rook and a bishop for a queen, but honestly has very good composition, has nice center control with the rooks, can hop the knight in at some point, maybe. Probably wouldn't want to trade right now, trade pieces, unless you're Stockfish, which, you know, I don't know. If someone traded here and they were down a queen but had, you know, two rooks, two bishops, and a knight for a queen, had a rook and a bishop for a queen, so had this position, you know, I'm not too sure that I mean, I don't even know if I could win with like this, having a rook and a bishop for a queen. But anyway, these bots are much better. So we have bishop b6, and now rook e8, rook e8, and queen c2, and b4. Knight back to d1, and knight to d5, bishop d4, and Leela setting up maybe some possible attacks in the future with the queen and the bishop there. Maybe moving the queen and then thus attacking the... But again, these bots are so good. They see everything, really. I mean, it's so hard to... I bet it would be, like, impossible to play if you're human. I mean, it's, like, ridiculous. Anyway, bishop to f2. And also, some of these moves, sometimes they just don't even make sense. I mean, like, what is bishop to f2? I mean, I get it, kind of. But, like, wouldn't you want to be trading something? I don't know. I just... Oh, wait, no. Sorry. Not if you're white. Never mind. Sorry. But under normal circumstances, anyway, a5 and knight to e3. Knight goes back to e7. Now we have queen to d1 and rook cd8 attacking. Queen b3, rook b8. This white is not going to lose their queen. They're not like you and me. Yes, I still lose my queen sometimes in bullet games, not in other games. Knight c4. Also, I don't even really play bullet games anymore. I don't know. I'm just going on a rant here, but just talking about random stuff. But yeah, I really don't even play bullet anymore because it just ruins. I feel like it gets ruined. If you're not a strong player, if you're not like a titled player or like a 2,000 plus player FIDE or USCF, whatever you do, you really shouldn't be playing bullet. In my opinion, you shouldn't be playing bullet because it'll just ruin your time management, because you'll train yourself, like in tournaments especially, it's really bad. You'll train yourself to play faster, and then you won't be paying attention. a4, queen back to d1. Now we have rook d8, queen e1, and a3 takes not takes actually. We have b takes a3, and instead we have knight to d5. And knight hops in to b6. Bishop back to e8. Knight takes on d5. Rook takes d5. A takes b4. Bishop takes b4. And now, yeah, white just has a comfortable advantage. Is up +1 and is doing very well, despite being down a queen. But now has a queen and a pawn for a rook and a bishop, so it's doing very nice. We have queen f1. Bishop a4, and I mean, like, look at these bishops here. These bishops are just like snipers right here. I mean, great vision here with the bishops totally open. White's bishop is doing fine, but I mean, like, black's bishops are doing, I mean, just like monster work here. Just very, very good play here by Stockfish. Rook to b1, bishop c2, and now we have rook to b2, rook d1, rook takes c2, rook takes f1. So we have a little traderuski thing, and now white is up a pawn. And yeah, as you see there, black traded the rook for the queen, because even now it might be even heading for a draw, honestly, because we have a 4-on-4. We have bishops and rooks, and then we have a 4-on-4, and then a single passed pawn. So that can easily be stopped. But these pawns over here on the e to the h, like these pawns here, like here, all these pawns here, all these 8 pawns, these can be probably stopped. But anyway, okay. So we have a4, and now black is just going to go after that pawn and have a little checking thing here, starts bringing the king, and as you see, Stockfish is pushing all the pawns 1 square here, so they can have even more control of those squares, g5, f5, h5, those squares, they can have more control. We have h5 now, g takes and g takes. Otherwise, I mean, if you didn't take and you like just left it, say you went like I don't know, king here, then I mean it would be bad news, because then they would just get an open file or a pass pawn. Anyway, We have bishop to b6, and now king to d7. Now black is pushing the pawns, and we have a little swap. Also, the evaluation has stayed like solid almost the whole time. It's still plus 1.4 here. So, and white is still up a pawn. We have bishop to f4 check, e3, bishop back to d6, and we bring the king over, and this is a very instructive tactic here that Stockfish employs. It's called a X-ray. You X-ray the king through the attacked piece. So here, Leela moved the king to attack the rook on b1. Black checked the king and at the same time attacked the rook through the king. Very instructive here. Very, you can learn so many things from these games. I mean, even if you're like studying for like a tournament or something and you want ideas for like an opening, you should just go through, AI games. That's what I do. I go through games. I'm like a Catalan, a d4, Queen's Gambit kind of person, like a player. And whenever I have a certain variation that's played against me that I never recognize after the game or after the tournament, usually I always go back and I try and look for that variation in the opening. It always helps me especially these games, because they're so strong. These bots are so strong. You can learn so many things from them. Nevertheless, we have king to b3 and now rook to b1 and rook, king c2, and that evaluation is steadily building, and it's kind of leveled out here, plus 1.1. But rook to a2, rook c5 check, and we shuffle around here, give a couple of checks. Rook a2, we do not have a trade. Stockfish declines the trade, and we shuffle around, and it's steadily just heading for a draw, I think. And this is the 80th move. Not much has happened. We have king to d5, which is surprising. We have rook f4, bishop to e5, rook back to b4, and we have some more shuffling around. We lock the pawns in the center so they cannot move. Rook to b2, bishop c5, rook b1, bishop e7, rook b2. Just shuffling. This is just, heading for a draw. And it just leveled out here. Back here it was, let me see what it was back here. So ever since, wow, that was a while ago, that was actually a big advantage. So up at this point it was plus 0.6. So I'm going to go back to where it was a really big advantage, actually. So let me see if I can find it here. Okay, so here at move 69, it was plus 0.8. And now, move 69. And now here it is at move set at 87. So actually I'm going to go to 89. So 89, it is plus 0.2. So it went down, 0.6 in 20 moves. So this is just heading for a draw. The bots shuffle a little bit more, and we are at the 97th move. Shuffle around, keep moving, but black wins the pawn, but then white wins a pawn. We have bishop to g5, e4 check, king to e2, and in this position the bots agreed to a draw. So this was a draw after 101 moves, but still, very, very well played still. And ever since that, the queen sacrifice for the rook maneuver thing happened very early on here on move 11. Technically it was move 10, but and then even though it was down a queen for a rook, it just played, and it was actually down a queen for a rook and a bishop, but still it just totally played normally. And it was still a lot of imbalance. I feel like very good counterplay by Stockfish, and very, very well played. So let us get into the second game. All right, here we go. Second game. I'm sorry, please excuse me. There we go. Okay. Here we go. we have Stockfish now playing with white, and Leela is playing with black. And this game lasted, 50 moves. E4, D6, D4, knight to F6. This is the perk, I believe, the perk defense, very popular nowadays, I feel like, especially like at, early intermediate, early advanced. I know one guy that, plays this all the time, and he gets great positions here, and, he's like, intermediate level. So, and again, he has a very high, I think he has a very high, at least drawing, but he has a very high, winning percentage, I feel like, at his level for the perk over the board, though. So, knight to c3. Sorry, I bumped my microphone. I hope you didn't, I hope that wasn't really loud. G6 and f4, bishop g7, knight f3. So Leela is just playing a more of a, I think this is kind of like a hyper modern opening where you kind of take control of the center from a distance. But yeah, I mean, now we have c5 and bishop to b5 check. Bishop d7, we have takes, and I mean, yeah, out of the opening, Stockfish just has a dominant center, very nice center here. We have those 3 pawns, D, E, and F pawns, knights out. You can bring the bishop out at some point, very nice center here for old Stockfish. We have D5 now, locking that pawn in there, and knight to A6, castles, and knight back to C7, so attacking, but not really attacking that pawn on D5. Now we have A4, so just kind of controlling the knight. Stockfish does not want the knight hopping in there to B5 at some point, maybe. That could be followed after maybe A6 to anchor the knight in, because if you just went bishop to knight to B5 now, you would just lose the knight. We have A6, there it is, and now we have B5, and we have, F5, and now B takes A4, and knight takes A4, and rook to B8. King H1, castles, yeah, okay, so up until now, Leela did not castle, so now we have Queen H4, G takes F5, knight back to C3, so for just a moment, black is up a pawn. We have E6, bishop G5, F6, blocking the bishop. We have bishop to H6, bishop takes, queen takes. Now we have F takes E4, and knight H4, E takes D5. And despite this little pawn cluster here in the center, with this C5, D5, and D6, this is fairly strong. I would think maybe if you played like F5, then Leela might have a pretty good center with the pawns. But I mean, this king here is just wide open and not doing very well here. It's almost +1 for white. So yeah, I mean, maybe you can play something like Queen H5 and then go off that pawn on D5. That would be pretty easy. You could also play Rook D1 and then do the same. And it's quite hard, honestly, to protect that pawn. It's frankly almost impossible. I mean, you'd have to play like, you could play maybe D4, but then you'd lose the pawn on E4. So, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty hard. You could also play like Knight F5, and then try and hop in there some way. Like if you hop into Knight F5 to attack the pawn on D6, it's pretty hard, honestly, to protect that as well. So we have Rook A3, Knight to E5, Knight E2, E3, Rook takes E3, and King to H8, Rook takes E5. So sacrificing the Rook for the Knight, because even though this does give Leela back a pretty nice center, Stockfish knows that it will be able to dominate long term with the very nice control, maybe playing knight to F5 in the future, and then we'll have a very nice and devastating attack coming up for black. But instead goes knight to G6 check, and we have king to G8 and knight to G3. Now Stockfish is just bringing all the knights in. Queen D7, knight to F5, Rook B8, rook b e8, knight f7 check, king takes e7, knight takes. Now we have rook takes and rook takes f6, rook to f7, rook takes, king takes, and now we have queen takes h7, king e6, and we have like this little maneuver here. The pawn gets kind of close, but you know, overall it's going to be very easy to stop. We have h5, so now Stockfish is pushing its own pawn. Knight to b5, king e1, d4, and queen to f5, and black is trying to build a little bit of a fortress for itself to stop any kind of attack. And we have this little maneuver here. We have takes, and the rook is sacrificed for the pawn. We have king to c5, queen takes e3, king to c6, and now this is just a totally winning endgame because it is +10 for white. And Stockfish goes on to win the game in Stockfish-like fashion. And actually, Leela just resigned because it's a Stockfish is just up a queen and 3 pawns. And I don't know why I had to look at that, but I mean, there's no way to stop all 3. Really, just plop the queen in the center, and all you have to do is maybe, you know, the king moves, and you just play like queen d5, and then that pawn will promote, and then you can just push these pawns up, and it's game over there. So instead, Leela did not want to suffer too badly at the hands of the ruthless Stockfish, so instead just resigned. So that was game number 2, and maybe I'll put timestamps in the video player so you can just skip along to the first and second. But yeah, again, this was another really good played game, well played game here, and yeah, again, it's just cool sometimes to just watch and see how these bots play, because it's kind of crazy sometimes to just see how good they are. And again, you can learn so many things from these bots, and yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Just 2 games for you today, but I think they're really great games, and yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed. And yeah, that's it. So check out the other videos in the AI playlist on my channel, and check out this video, the second round of my tournament here, and you can subscribe right here. And yeah, see you all in the next video. And yeah, I'll stop yapping. See you all in the next video.